Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 279. Let's see who shows up. Jarvan. I've been having to do everything I can to go out of my way to not play these Jarvans. This isn't as good as the just Sejuani trial we just did with the Squire and the Honored Lord, but it's a pretty reasonable Jarvan start if that's what you're looking to do. But I'm pretty okay with diving in on this LeBlanc again. I think there might still be some fresh takes that we can take on LeBlanc, and a pretty powerful champion. I mean, one of the real strengths, in my opinion, with this LeBlanc is she's always paired up with Shurima, and that gets her access to the vulnerable kind of cards, the things like our Rock Hoppers and our um, exhausts, and then this quick attack challenge into a vulnerable unit is just such a powerful ability. And so she's just so good on so many fronts, whether or not that's being just an aggressive 5 attack quick attacker for 3 mana, very good deal. We've never questioned Senna's ability to be a good aggressive attacker, and turns out giving it an extra point of attack also good. But then just even these synergies with challengers, and then having some minor synergies with these kind of like 5 attack matters themes, just a lot of positives coming out of LeBlanc. I think there's actually an article I saw today or yesterday on the competitive subreddit, someone talking about their top 5 misses from Empires of the Ascended, and LeBlanc was right in there, and I was like, ooh. Ooh, buddy, she's maybe it's just because I always take this perspective from Expedition, but I've never worried about LeBlanc being good. She can run into Frostbites, which is annoying, and run into Mystic Shots, which sucks. But if she gets over that hump of your opponent not being able to deal with a 2 toughness unit, then she just runs over top of any game. But nonetheless, stories aside, that's who we're going to be drafting here. So let's take a peek at the site and see what we're getting ourselves into. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my expedition-related content. We're just going to be on the expedition helper. Click the drop down, see if I can't do my alphabet math and figure out where the L's are. And cool. And here's LeBlanc. And I should call out, I have finished up all of these 3-minute guides. They're out there for all of the card pools now, all 90 whatever card pools we have have a 3-minute guide associated with them, and I've slowly gone through and tried to update some newer ones. I try to take the older ones, some of them. I think I started doing this in Call of the Mountain, not in Call of the Mountain, in Rising Tides, and so some of these are a little dated, but the general strategies haven't really changed, and so they're still pretty good if you're new to the game. But nonetheless, over here with LeBlanc, and so, if you're not familiar with the pool, she pairs up with Sivir. This reputation theme is kind of centered on dealing 5 damage 4 times or more. And so if we hit for those big attacks 4 times, then these cards tend to just be cheaper. And so we see things like Whispered Words now costing 2 mana, cards like Mimic now costing 1 mana. In general, I just don't think this is really a strategy worth pursuing. If we end up with the Whispered Words in our deck, then that's great. But I'm not going to go out of my way to pair up LeBlanc with like Freylord to get access to Yetis, or pair up with Shurima just to get her access to, say, like the Rock Bears. It's not a strategy worth going all in for. Same thing applies here. This 5 attack matters theme also lives here with cards like the Trifarian Assessor, drawing cards for 5 power allies, things like Reckoning, killing everything with less than 5 power. Same thing applies. If we run across a Reckoning, we'll consider taking it. If we run across a Trifarian Assessor, we'll consider taking it. But we're not going to go out of our ways to draft a bunch of 5 attack units to ensure that we can activate those abilities. It's just we'll get there incidentally and not really have to worry about it. And so, the big thing I like to call out with LeBlanc is, Noxus has such an amazing set of 1-drops. It's much easier to see in some of these Draven pools or some of these Riven pools. I think not Arachnophilia Draven is the one I'm looking at here, Scrap Heap. Yeah, and so, there's just like so many good 1-drops between things like Blade Squire, Legion Saboteur, Legion Rearguard. We can really try to put together this curve of, just having a big pile of 1-drops. And then if we switch back to LeBlanc, with our 2s, we can hopefully hit a 5 attack with the Hopeful. We can guaranteed hit a 5 attack with the Glory Seeker. And then coming in on turn 3, we just have a LeBlanc. And so, it's just an ultra powerful curve. If your opponent stumbles at any point, then they're really, looking to struggle. If we say play a 1-2-3 and our opponent just plays a 2-3, and then we're able to trade our, Trifarian Glory Seeker for our opponent's 3-drop, then we're already at a mana advantage. Our opponent's not going to want to block our LeBlanc, and then depending on what 2-drop they have in that situation, if they played a 3-2, then they have to kind of trade with our 1, and so puts us in a spot to where we're up 2 mana, have a LeBlanc on the board to our opponent's nothing. That's just really the way that these aggressive Noxus decks are able to take over the games. So we'll see how it plays out. There's a lot of themes that she can play very well with. If we're on this mono Noxus theme, or I should say this early aggressive theme, I do prefer to be paired up with like a Draven or a Darius, but she's guaranteed to hit a Shurima pairing so that we can, find those exhaust type cards in the second pack, or, it'd be cool to pair this up with like Demacia or something that has a lot of early game challengers in it. Should be not the worst pairing with something like Jarvan. But nonetheless, we're taking the LeBlanc. Almost misclicked that, which would have been ultimately pretty unfortunate and beautiful. You couldn't see something more beautiful here than this Noxian Might Darius. This is the Noxus Allegiance deck, and the thing that this really puts us in a spot to be doing is having that ultra powerful early game curve between the ones, the ones, twos, and threes into LeBlanc, and then from turn 3 forward, also looking to focus on overwhelms. So if we're able to say chunk our opponents down to 8, and then if we have a board with like an Iron Ballista and a Darius, we should be able to close that out pretty quickly. If we have like an Iron Ballista, Basilisk Rider would be fantastic, or also things like Armored Elephant. Just lots and lots of powerful plays that we have out of this. Should be ultimately a pretty fantastic, very fantastic aggressive deck. And so these other ones, they can be fine. I don't want to say that you couldn't chase after this Talia. She does have all of those Rock Bear generating landmarks, and those have 5 attack, which look to help this reputation theme. Just not worth it. Maybe in the future, if there's some better landmarks, then we can kind of pursue these Talias. But I don't really want to be getting ourselves into a deck to where we're trying to be ultra aggressive, and we spend our second turn playing a landmark that doesn't put a unit on the board till the 5th turn. And so, not like really excited about that style of deck. And over here with the Victor, Victor could be reasonably okay. You could even, I think, get some like generated cards out of things like these mirror images, and so there could be some kind of synergies going on between Victor and LeBlanc. Say we have a ballistic bot on the board, and he's gotten pretty big, and then we generate some mirror images and create another ballistic bot and give everything a bonus. There's some synergies there. I just don't think that's going to be nearly as powerful as this Darius, and so he really fills in a lot of the gaps that we have problems with here. And let's get him pulled up on the site and take a peek at this. We can talk about him a little bit more. And so yeah, like the big thing that we try to talk about here is if we're looking at like the early game being kind of like covered by LeBlanc. We don't have all of the early game plays we're looking for here. They did remove them all from Darius. I think they decided it was too powerful having all of the very good early game Noxus plays in this Darius pool. So we don't see like the Legion Rearguard and friends here anymore. But, from the top end perspective, seeing things like Iron Ballista, Armored Elephant, Basilisk Rider, just all of the top end that we're actually looking for lives here. And so, the only thing I feel like we're really going to have to go out of our way to find are those 1-drops, since those are just going to be coming from our wild picks and our synergy picks. But, the 2-drops, covered by LeBlanc, I think all of the 2-drops that we're looking for are also here in Darius. Yeah, here's the Trifarian Hopeful, here's the Trifarian Glory Seeker, and so we should be able to, from turn 2 forward, really just be covered by everything. If we can find those 2s, if we think of LeBlanc and Overwhelm Chariot. I never remember the name of this thing. And Iron Ballista is our 3s, Basilisk Rider at 4, and then, a handful of other just late game, don't care what it is, but things like, Armored Elephant or he doesn't live here, but like Savage Reckoner would be pretty reasonable. So, I think all the units are covered except the 1-drops. All of the removal spells live here, whether or not, Whirling Death being kind of the premier one, but also things like Scorched Earth. I think just the total package is lined up here, except for the 1-drops. So let's see what we can get together. I don't really want to be pursuing another faction, and then there's nothing we could ask for more than a Basilisk Rider Decimate. Just incredibly, incredibly powerful here. I saw those removal spells, and I was like, okay, maybe that. And it's just like, no, there's this Basilisk Rider here. So with these, it's kind of interesting. I think we want to pursue the interactive abilities here. Like again, we're not going to take any cards that aren't in Noxus, and I'm really excited about having like pick 7 forward being 100% Noxus cards. But I think here, the thing, like if we're going to kind of like tier this off, we need to find 1-drops. 1-drops are going to be like our ultimate thing that we're looking to pick up. I'll take a 1-drop with a even like a that thing that makes your opponent discard a card. Like that's just like what I'm super willing to go out of my way to find. Then kind of our tier 2 pickup is going to be these mid-gamey overwhelms, be it something like Basilisk Rider or Overwhelm Chariot, and then kind of our tier 3 picks are going to be these removal spells, and then after that we're just going to take some curve filler. And so I do think the Hopeful and the Reckless Trifarian really kind of just fall into the curve filler kind of things, and we want to go ahead and take the removal spells at this stage of the trial. Okay. So interesting. As far as these decks go, I don't really like playing Trifarian Assessors. I'm typically okay with like 1, and it is kind of interesting having this here with Decimate. But ultimately, these are not super important picks in the Trifarian Assessor. And then also over here with Might, it's not something our deck should really be needing. It does play reasonably well with like LeBlanc and if we had been taking like Reckless Trifarians, these are the kind of units that you're looking to play Might on. But, if all goes well, we should be having just a bunch of Overwhelm units, right? So Might doesn't really do anything with Iron Ballista, Basilisk Rider, Darius, Armored Elephant, Savage Reckoner. Like, when we're looking to close out a game, all of our game closers should already have Overwhelm. So I'm not super interested in Might. So I'm going to take this Crimson Disciple. It's just, really going to be a 2-3 for 2 here, but I'm mainly interested in picking up the 2-drop. Okay, then a pretty similar thing here. House Spider, fantastic 2-drop. Crowd favorite. He has Overwhelm. These tend to be a little bit more challenging decks to take advantage of him. This isn't like Spiders where, we're able to put multiple units down out of the same card, but it shouldn't be too challenging to make this be a 5-4 Overwhelm, which is a pretty reasonable deal. Even a 4-3 Overwhelm for 4 mana, while not super stat efficient, it's typically enough to get the job done for what we're trying to pull off here. Okay, pretty non-interesting set of cards. I'm going to take the Crimson Disciple again. We do want to pick up one of these, be it Shunpo or Intimidating Roar. Ideally, our kind of like 5 attack, 5 cost win the game card would be Decisive Maneuvers, but I certainly don't want to pick up 2 of these at the same time. We don't want multiples of this kind of effect. And then over here, these are just, kind of the core of mediocre. And so I think the 2-drop again is the important one to be picking up here. Okay, cool. 1-drop. It has an Assessor with it. Not excited about the Assessor, but again, 1-drops are the big thing that we're looking to pick up, and it's at least paired with a playable card, and so cannot complain too much about that. Okay, kind of the same deal, with our tier 1 being a 1-drops, non-existent, our tier 2 being these Iron Ballista style of Overwhelms. I'm pretty happy to pick that up with a 2-drop. Our removal suite is reasonable at this point, between 2 Death's Hand, 2 Noxian Fervors. I thought we picked up a Guillotine style card, but it appears we did not. But, we don't need to go out of our way to pick up more Noxian Fervors. We're already pretty good in that spot. Okay, is slightly interesting and Draven's biggest fan. He is pretty powerful in the sense of, what if we don't want to draft like 3 LeBlancs? She is very powerful, but she's not like way more powerful than a Draven, and then having this 1-drop and 1 Draven in our deck, really helps us find the good cards in our 3-drop slot. So I think that's who I'm going to take here. These other cards are pretty weak. You can't play City Breakers outside of Swain build-arounds. The Bloody Business is good, but I think our removal is kind of okay here. I would like to pick one of these up, just as a way to have a card that can deal with like a Kindred without having to be in combat. But I think again the 1-drops are just too important to be taking. Again, same deal. We've got another Legion Saboteur. Very excited to pick that up with the removal spell. Ooh, and our bro Captain Farron. This isn't the kind of deck like I really suspect that we're going to be going to turn 8 for, but this is just like as good as the top end gets. If we can just pick up like 1 Armored Elephant or even just like another Basilisk Rider, then I'm going to be feeling like pretty good about how our top end looks. Just Captain Farron, so good at closing out games you have no business winning. Okay, well, here's the one more piece of top end. I don't feel like we really need Savage Reckoners, but I'm not passing on the 1-drops here. Okay, they continue on. Arena Bookie, not too exciting here, but, you know, he can be fine. This is something we'll be looking to trade away, but, you know, it's a reasonable curve filler. Well, it's not a very good curve filler, but it at least lets us cycle away some of our bad cards for better. And okay, beautiful with a Kato. All right, so this will like completely shore up our top end. I'm going to do this. We can pull up the deck afterwards here and talk about the things that I would like to be like to be doing here. And so, as far as this top end goes, we do have a little bit too much now. I'd be okay to get rid of the Assessor, be okay to get rid of Savage Reckoner, also okay to get rid of Crowd Favorite. But these are just kind of places where I would like to make like quality level upgrades, as opposed to, you know, our deck is messed up and we need to get rid of this stuff. And then otherwise, you know, I would just like to pick up some more 1s and 2s. I think we're looking pretty good. Some of this stuff is pretty mediocre in here, like all of these Death's Hands. These could be upgraded to something else. But in general, our deck is looking pretty nice. And then, of course, we do have to go and make something premium. We're starting to get to the bottom of the barrel here. I know Blade Squire is accounted for, Legion Rearguard accounted for, Legion Saboteur is. Your rare House Spider might be a new one. I know Iron Ballista is upgraded. It might be Reckless Trifarian's day. So, all right, let's see how this goes. We'll check on the House Spider. If it's not up to him, we will we'll do the Trifarian. Spider is too common. Oh, House Spider has already been done. Okay, so Reckless Trifarian, welcome to the land of being premium. I know I've been seeing in the comments, you know, we got to go out and premium out our allegiance cards so that we hit them properly. But man, those are rare. We gotta start at common. People got to worry about bust pocketbook here. Not made of money. You can't just be out here making all these rares premium willy nilly. we'll get there eventually, but haven't quite gotten there yet. Wish they'd let me cash in some of this dust to turn things premium. And not a whole lot we're gonna be doing with 180,000 dust, but I guess we could use it to jump into, I don't know, 900 expedition trials, however that math works out. Nonetheless, this is a reasonable start. Let's keep the Saboteur and look for a 2. I'd rather just be curving out here. Things look pretty good. It's Jarvan Azir. They do have like some blanks on this. If he plays, I don't know, Desert Rider or whatever that dude's called, you know, we would shut down our attack, but otherwise, looking pretty powerful here. Sure.
I have my orders.
Attack formation.
Okay. There's no way this guy's going to out aggro us. So it's kind of like thinking of how this would play out if we wanted to, you know, just put a unit in front of this, put it in a spot to trade next turn. But here, I'm ready to just get in like the big chunks of damage. Ideally, he's going to be playing like a 3/3 for 3. He's going to have to put it, you know, either just take this huge health chunk or put it in front of a unit that doesn't matter. And this is fantastic. Couldn't hope for better here. I don't know why he's so intent on hanging onto those war chefs, but we're getting in a pretty good spot to just ace this game pretty quickly.
Batter him. Can't fight on an empty stomach.
If we didn't have the combat trick in our hand, I wouldn't do this, but I think we can get him to like play a spell. If he plays a spell, he can't add a unit here, and then we can still just take this thing down. So the Death's Hand has handled it. Kato's looking fantastic here, especially if his, you know, turn 2 play was a war, or turn 3 play was a war chef, so he may not have anything until like turn 5. Should be a pretty safe Kato. I think we're just going to get a huge hit in here with Kato and an overwhelming Trifarian, and then just finish with Darius.
What time is it?
Kato time. Can't imagine that's what you're trying to do here. to even want like +1/+1. Sure. Not as ideal, but it's still okay.
Go time!
Crumble.
Oh, this is greedy. You just gotta let this go to your face place? Oh man.
Taste the glory!
Yeah, that seems more reasonable. Okay, okay. I was intending on just making a Death's Hand play here, but I'm feeling a lot better about this Darius now.
Bleed for Noxus.
Like Renekton in his flip.
I'll handle this
That was
myself.
weird.
Onward.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but this is never lethal, and I would prefer to just not lose either of our units to a combat trick. Like if he has a riposte now, who cares? You know, if he wants to riposte our Darius, then we can still chunk in this huge amount of damage. But I don't think that's ever going to be a big worry here.
Scatter.
Judgment. Can't say I approve of that kind of thing.
We'll rise.
Cool. All right, good game, friend.
We have done well. Noxus is proud.
Noxus is proud. And so, yeah, we'll see if Draven pops up. I'm not opposed to taking a Draven here since we have Draven's biggest fan. But if I was going to say, if he doesn't, I'm just going to take the LeBlanc. But on the flip side of this, man, these other cards. These other cards. I mean, we have a Basilisk Rider here. Fantastic pickup. Don't really need, additional Dariuses at this point, but it does also have a Glory Seeker. And, we don't have a lot of, like, quick attack themes, but we do have 1 Blade Squire, 2 Weapon Hilts. So we can pick up the quick attack sword to use with the Glory Seeker. Ideally, though, I think we need to take this LeBlanc. The strength in numbers is a pretty powerful late game play. And then, over here with these Dravens, these cards are just not what we need. And so I'm going to take the LeBlanc here, and then ideally pick up a Draven with our last champion pick. That went pretty well. Do need to trade away some of this expensive stuff. We don't really need to stack up on these strength and numbers with all these late game plays that we have, but no complaints. Our deck seems pretty reasonable. Beautiful, picked up a 1. Griffin.
No one's the wiser. This'll shake 'em.
Not a bad start.
Let me show you what I can do.
Okay, and then how do we want to handle this next turn? We can, of course, open. Like, how likely is he to play a unit that we really care about? There's not like a whole lot of 3/3s in either faction here. I think I'm going to be a little greedy and play the Disciple, because we just have like such a high-powered curve here. Beautiful. We can like Mountain Goat's completely fine. Do not care about him picking up gems. Okay.
Look what you did.
Oh, gems are a little better now with the Sparklefly on the board, but I think this is still okay.
I'll try anyone once.
Okay, I think we have to bank here. Just keep slamming into the Sparklefly. Oh, LeBlanc. You change things. Let's do this. Let's give him the opportunity to spend a little bit of mana. We'll add LeBlanc and try to bloody business down this Sparklefly. And our attack should look much better.
Ours is the one true light.
This is a bit of a problem if he has the +3/+3 card to put onto Sparklefly. But we'll just have to see how this plays out. We can play it in the middle of combat should we need to.
No mercy for heretics.
Okay. Yeah, we can get around to +3/+3 card now. If he has another Targon shield, then that kind of sucks for us. But otherwise, this should be pretty good. To let him kill his LeBlanc, he's gonna take. Oh no, the 3 attack thing hits a follower. It doesn't hit a champion. There's a 3 damage thing, right? It's 3 damage to a follower. Then the stun can hit champions, but it only lasts for a turn. Pretty sure that's right. We're looking pretty powerful here. We can add a Kato and then add Savage Reckoner. So even if he has a way to answer LeBlanc, it still feels pretty good.
Woe to those who disgrace the Empire.
What time is it?
Kato time. Sure.
My reputation! The journey is difficult. These will protect you.
These are not the biggest of boys. So let's get the Reckoner down. I don't think he's ever gonna take away our opportunity to hit this Solari soldier, but
Come here. Up top.
this isn't gonna leave him at 1. He's most certainly blocking a Kato here.
You spurn my gift?
Works for me. So it feels like we're pretty far ahead. Ugh. As soon as I say that, that is like the worst card we could see. Picking up a bunch of time. Not excited about that. So, I mean, if we want, though, we can go ahead and hit this thing, take him to 13, and then have an open to take him to 8. I think we want to hit this, but then we're probably not going to open next turn.
Sunward.
Forward in the
Sure.
name of the Solari.
Alright, we gotta get something in there.
Punch it. Ha-ha!
Punch it.
I give you muscles.
You cannot sway me.
So he makes the greedy play. What's our chances of burning him out here? It's pretty low. 8, gonna hit for 6. The question is, like, do we have to answer the Great Beyond? Which we don't even have a real answer to. We'd have to sacrifice all of our damage. Okay. Oh, what a star shaping. If he was at 2, this game would be so done. Could have just been like any card but star shaping. We could have had a better answer, but...
I bear a message from... Oh, hey, what's that?
Alright, Darius knows what's up, though. Might be a little short running into the Great Beyond, but... He only has 1 card over here. Sure. Okay.
Witness true strength.
Here goes. we got 13 running into 5 health, so we should be pretty okay here.
Blood.
Good, good. He didn't have a removal.
None shall oppose me.
There we go. Get him. Boop, boop. Oh, Darius, what up? What up, my friend?
We have done well. Noxus is proud.
Noxus is proud. I'm proud too, Kaz. So let's see. Man, I don't want Wrathful Riders. I guess we have to be okay with trading away Death's Hand for Demolitionist. I'd love to get rid of this Blade's Edge, but I don't really like playing Wrathful Rider outside of decks with a whole bunch of Reforges, and even then I don't really like it. Just, you know, if we can't give this quick attacker Overwhelm, it's just so easy for our opponent to even trade like a 2-drop into this, or find these weird boards to where it can't interact very positively. And so I have a few too many Death's Hands. I'm pretty okay to pick up this this 2-drop. Silver and Nocturne. Okay. Interesting pairing. And would this be cool if we had that copy of Draven in our deck? It'd be so big with the biggest fan. Such a good curve at that point.
To serve the greater good. Finally, some action.
There we go. Finally, some action. Looking good though. I was gonna say I'm kind of interested in getting a full bank on mana here, so not playing the Trifarian, just getting an open attack, then playing the Basilisk Rider 2 turns from now, and then having the strengthened numbers in play on our next attack. I think this would be pretty powerful. Sure. Duder's in not a good spot if that's what his play is. Okay. You ever just play LeBlanc? I don't think so.
Honor is the rust on a dull blade.
We ride for Noxus!
Danger pays.
Yep. Alrighty, so let's see where this one gets us. Lots of raw power here. Okay. If he wants to get like value blocks with the Sivir Nocturne, just do not care. There's such a huge amount of damage that we're throwing at him. Completely okay with that being an outcome. Speakable, our other Legion Marauder, completely fine. Okay. Okay, so we just need to get a little bit wider here. I think we'll be fine. We can kind of like line up some of these plays to where we try to bloody business and combat whatever is in front of our Basilisk Rider. Pretty powerful. So I want to add LeBlanc first. Very good chance that we start seeing seeing me deal a bunch of damage. So I'd enjoy having her on the board. Then this starts to get a little closer. Still don't think we like really care about any of these units. It's just pass in combat.
It's a living.
Okay.
Carve a path!
Sure. Interesting he chose to not keep the 3/3 instead of the 2/1. Okay, so how do we do here? Let's say we hit. He's going to take 4 damage from Basilisk Rider, 2 damage from Blade Squire. I'm thinking more along the lines of let's add a Iron Ballista to the board. and then try to kill him next turn with like a Death's Hand. That doesn't really change anything. Right, our overwhelms are more important here. That was actually good for us that he didn't hit the Basilisk Rider. So now we're repping non-overwhelm, so we're going to be hitting for 7, and this Death's Hand will be lethal. Okay.
It's my time.
Make it worth my while.
So how we do it? Deal 2 to an enemy and 1 to the Nexus. This is just deal 1 anyways. I can't remember if we have to have a target for this. Like if he plays a sacrifice card here. Okay, it's one that still goes through. Good stuff. Okay, so here I am highly considering taking the Draven. We gotta see what pops up. Here's the Draven. The stack of cards isn't that spectacular, but they're at least on the cheaper side of things. I don't really want an Armored Tusk-Raider Reckoning. I think our curve is getting a little out of hand on the top side here. Do have trouble using things like crowd favorites, but at least it has Overwhelm, and I do want to get this Draven. So maybe we'll get to trade away some of this top end for like another Draven's Biggest Fan and just lock him in as being a good 3-drop. Okay, but yeah, it's going pretty well, pretty decent. I like the ideas here that are happening with the stack. Whoa, Lysandras. Alright, the scary thing coming out of this is they're going to have those ice shards. The thing that just deals damage, 1 damage to everything. Alright, so how do we approach this? I kind of liked how that went with the strength in numbers on turn 5. I think we can cycle this away, and then we can still just look to do that on turn 4. Let's also get rid of the Trifarian. I'd rather have other 3-drops. Well, that mulligan that didn't go right. Maybe we shouldn't have done it like that, but
You won't get past me.
as long as we're able to bank on either turn 3 or turn 4, then I'm not really upset with how that panned out, but that picking up the Legion rearguard really kind of saved our day there. Draven, nice.
If they're out there, I'll spot them.
Is he thinking about it? Ooh. I think I want a Draven here. I know that Brittle Steel lives within the Lysandra pool. It's just like this is so bad for us if we come in and he, like Brittle steals our LeBlanc and gets the trade. Same, it doesn't apply with the Elixir of Iron here, but
Look out for Reavers.
gotta just try and get this stuff out of here.
Now we're cooking.
So I think this idea will be pretty good. He is gonna have the opportunity to respond to this well, so maybe we do end up just playing LeBlanc here. Let's see what he actually does. He tries to be clever and pass, that's super good for us. Okay. So not horrible. You know, can trade with one of our 5/4s, but still, I think that's pretty good here. Especially if he doesn't have another answer to the second 5/4 and has to like interact with Draven or something.
Come on in.
Sure.
My turn.
I've carved meat bigger than you.
Taking that 10 bomb.
Let's talk about your dad.
So that's an awful scary 10 bomb to be to be taking, and this is fine. We have this Death Sand for this Ancient Yeti, should we want to next turn. And this is pretty reasonable. Being like LeBlanc Death Sand and a Savage Reckoner, it should be enough to close out this game.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
The biggest fan. Your bro just fell to the netherworld. Okay.
Look what you
Alert the village!
places to go, people to be.
Sure. There is a world where he doesn't attack, and so let's just go ahead and get this aced out of here. Now we've just got lethal on board, so I guess we don't even need to play the Reckoner.
Delicious.
Can't get out of this. He can harsh winds, but if he's got the harsh winds, he was going to get out of this anyways. Okay. Sure. Sure. I think we just want to add the Disciple.
I'll try any
So if he plays another
greedy
AoE, then we get this kind of
think I
chunk of
like
damage in. We get to bank to 3, and then I want to play Reckoner on his turn. It leaves us in a pretty good spot. I don't care about Lysandra. Yeah, seems pretty good. Pretty good.
You walk the lands once more.
A little worse. Okay. I'm gonna add the biggest fan so it can block at the stairs, and then we'll play the Reckoner next. I just take this, right? We just gotta take this.
Where are they?
Succumb. Ages pass, but I am eternal. You will do as I command.
A 0 cost. It's a round start, so he doesn't get the Axe Shard, right?
My turn.
You should have run. Come here.
Okay, I'm not feeling real good about this. There's a lot of ways for him to get out of this. Hopefully he like had to spew too hard on the previous turn. Yeah, I don't like what's happening here. Gonna fall to 4. We should have put this Reckoner hit way over on the left. I haven't played against a flipped Cassandra. I forget that she gets the boost, the tough on your onto your deck. Okay. So we should be taking him to 3, which is, pretty relevant when you have 2 Noxian Mights in your deck. And I'm just gonna, I think
Nothing
I
escapes
think we
me.
probably have to add both units. Let's just play the Brutal Hunter.
Catch my prey.
If we draw Captain Farron next turn, we probably just win anyways, and he's the only relevant unit that we can't stack onto the board. Ugh. Already dealt with 2 Lysandras, right? So we should only be getting 1 champion. Oh. Okay, we can't beat Tryndamere. Ugh. I can't imagine. I can't think of a spot where we played that weird or wrong, but maybe we got a little too greedy in there. Interesting. All right. Well, we've lost a game to Lysandra now, I guess. Nonetheless, we aren't making any of these trades. We don't want expensive overwhelms, and I don't want to trade away our 1s and our 2s. I don't think that the Demolitionist is really an upgrade over the House Spider. I do worry about these Demolitionists when we run into these spots where we want to play it on 2, and all of our 1-drops all have 1 health. Can be a real non-bow. This is kind of like not a real 2-drop here, and the House Spider actually is. It's a reasonable keep. Yeah, I guess that is when our, playing against a Lysandra deck and them actually flipping Frozen Thralls. We should have won the game at that point. I think you lose that game like 100% of the time when you don't get the lethal on that turn. Like, you can kind of deal with that turn when they're getting their width, like that turn that the Frozen Thrall flips over on turn 9, but that's right at the edge of our game-winning capabilities, and so I think we could have worked around that a little bit differently. Okay, well, let's draw our Draven.
The Emperor commands, the land obeys.
If he comes in, I'm fine to block the Doomkeeper. Otherwise, I'll take the Sand Soldier damage. This feels like a excellent turn for us with him adding Doomkeeper. This is actually a real pain in the butt as far as our deck is concerned. If he's able to play this and have 2 blockers, and we really don't want to be throwing 2 1-drops into his single 1-drop, and so I'm actually pretty happy to see him throw this down on the first turn.
Let me show you what I can do.
And these disciples are reasonably into Sand Soldiers as well. I don't think we're going to be running into a real Sand Soldiers deck. I think it's going to be a Callista deck that kills off Sand Soldiers to help her flip. But, these are reasonable units to have in these spots. Good. Glad to see him not play any cards here.
Spears ready.
Okay, cool. And keep his board empty. If he has any sacrifice plays, hopefully he has to start sacrificing real units, or if he's wanting to make sacrifice plays and that involves him playing like, say, a 3-drop instead of a 1-drop, just a huge chunk of mana. Oh, buddy. The Ephemeral? Oh, we got it off the thing. Why would you play the Ephemeral copy first?
Time to make an appearance.
Okay, but this can't be a spot to where he's happy about playing card draw on turn 2 and then a Undying on 3. Could not care less about what he plays. We're just slamming everything in here. We're going to get the Saboteur down as well. Okay.
Explosives primed.
It's pretty good for us. I have to imagine the Spirit Leech is just going to go in front of our LeBlanc, prevent the damage. Wow, he's playing for value? Ow. Okay. Did not imagine that was coming up. How can he even punish us here? There's no. He could, if he banks a bunch of mana, he could have like a spirit fire next turn, Spirit Leech, whatever that 7 mana Shurima card is called. Also have to kind of be wary of something like Withering Wail or Yeah, none of this seems like it's happening.
I'll try anyone once.
I think he's gonna Spirit Fire us next turn.
I think I like you.
Interestingly enough, if that's how we're going to envision this happening, opponent playing Spirit Fire, then we probably we want to just Demolitionist our Draven so that we get 2 activations. We'll get 2 activations either way, right? When these take the damage from the Spirit Fire and go face. Yeah, I don't think we should hit Draven. Oof.
If they don't break, they'll burn.
That'll flip our LeBlanc as well.
For the glory of Noxus, I whisper truth.
Okay, so in this attack, I'm definitely going to open, and then we want to have our quick attackers over here on the left, right? His good block is going to be with the Deadbloom Wanderer. We want this to get quick attack down so it doesn't get that lifesteal in. Okay.
Watch and learn.
Something like this. To imagine this does it. Spirit Fire would be annoying, but I think we've been lethal either way with our damage in hand and then Crimson things dealing damage to face.
For the garden.
Oh, cool. Didn't knock us out yet. So what can we do here? I don't like Blade's Edge. I think the card that we're least interested in trading is Decimate for Brutal Hunter. I am quite interested in getting rid of Crowd Favorite for Legion Grenadier, but this is kind of one of these spots to where, if we kind of like rank Crowd Favorite as a 6 and Grenadier as a 7, and then we rank Blade's Edge as a 1 and Calling Strike as like a 3, I would rather get the 1 out of our deck and improve the overall quality that way. And so it's kind of tough. This Grenadier is extremely good. It's just these Blade's Edges are so extremely bad. Okay. Ogre the Mighty. Coming in with them challenges. Okay, so let's keep our single 2-drop. Look for some 1s. Look for some of our 3-cost champions. Reasonable start. Jarvan, yeah.
Where's my axe? Okay, ready.
Do your thing. Yeah, you get those bloodthirsty marauders out of here. We're on the Legion rearguard plan here.
Sands beneath me and winds behind me. Too slow, stupid.
Okay.
I go!
Got it.
Is that all?
My board!
Nothing can stop
Who needs to block? It's all about going to the face place. Oh, friend. That certainly went to the face place.
You cannot hide forever, Nasus.
Okay, I'm good to just bank here, if that's how this is going to play out. Okay, so he does get in the attack. So I think we're going to just slam Kato. We have the mana banked for a weapon hilt here. I think this should just end it. Kato time. Made a big think. Punch it. I think whenever it says punch it, I just think it's I love the Fast and the Furious movies. It just feels very Fast and the Furious. It's what Dom Toretto's ready to do. You kick it into 11th gear, you gotta punch it, punch the nos. Oh, shit's great. Okay.
Strike me!
Are we lethal? Nope. Okay, we are now. Punch it. All right, good game, my friend. Yeah, the previous trial went on like a big rounders kick for like 30 minutes and got real distracted. I can't let myself just go on a big Fast and the Furious kick for the next 45 minutes. And here, this is a pretty easy one. I don't want these assessors. You can see how these games play out, right? We never find ourselves in these spots to where it's like, man, I want to draw like a whole bunch of cards. If we're in a spot to where, you know, we're going to close out the game, we would rather just have a decimate, right? So all these turns where we're just like, okay, I need to finish the game off. Let's play this assessor to draw something. We'd rather this just be like decimate. It just doesn't play any, you know, our strategy just doesn't need this. It's the way I also feel about that, the reputation card draw card. Like in general, like talking about cards like that, there's ways that you can, you know, if you're in a deck, let me stop and return to that. Like the kind of the way that, you know, Noxus decks win games are, you know, we're going to get this aggressive curve down. We're going to spend all 10 mana by the end of the 4th turn. And, you know, we're kind of counting on our opponent to say maybe spend 6 mana by that point. And then we could just kind of overwhelm them with the mana advantage. That's how the, you know, the Noxus decks are good as far as mana is concerned, is spending all of their mana every turn in the beginning of the games. To where if you're going to look at, say, you know, the opposite end of the spectrum, say like an Invoke deck, an Invoke deck is going to win because they may spend, you know, 120 mana across the course of the game to where we only spend like 80. And in my opinion, you know, mana advantage is what ultimately is more important than a concept of like card advantage, right? The concept of card advantage comes from, you know, I played one card to, you know, remove 2 of your cards, but ultimately what that ends with is us spending more mana than our opponent. And as far as these Noxus decks go and spending mana, this card draw late game, spend a bunch of mana, card advantage kind of style is just not how we win. As to where Iron Ballista is how we win. Helps us take advantage of us spending all of our mana early in the game. It just the assessors, like, thematically don't play well to this kind of strategy. Hopefully that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. I'm never too clear on how I'm able to explain that stuff. It's one of those things I'd like to make videos about at some point. But I think we actually just get rid of everything here and look for 1s and 2s. Would like to make a video about it at some point. I do have kind of in the back of my head ideals of making just kind of general strategy videos that apply to all games, but it's not something I've put forth the time to make.
They forced us to choose death or the blade. It's our time.
Opponent starting out more aggressive than us. Victor Diana with okay.
Let me show you what I can do. I love a taste of the
He wants to
action.
trade. I'm cool with that.
Is that all?
What do we think here about, like, if we want to say Death's Hand this thing and then play Blade Squire to get LeBlanc down next turn? Is he ever going to out aggro us? Like, this just doesn't seem like the plan this guy wants to be doing. But I think this is okay. Let's get this stuff out of the board. At least if we, like, you know, clear these dudes off of the board. As far as, you know, him having blockers for LeBlanc, he's going to have to invest a lot more mana into her. Right, we would, you know, ideally be attacking with LeBlanc. He has to say block with a 4-drop to prevent the damage, as opposed to just sending a wave of 1-drops in front of her.
Places to go, people to be.
But I think she should ideally be pretty safe here. The Victor doesn't have the good removal spells. He has
What a treat.
You leave me
he has things like Aftershock, so you can't take her down, but it's not like playing against Teemo or Ezreal, where we just play her and assume that she's going to die. Okay.
Temperamental
Here comes an Eclipse Dragon.
Within the darkness.
Yours is a light I
Okay, so we have to play the Trifarian so that we can protect our LeBlanc from this Diana.
forgive me.
I will be heard.
If this fails, we are super far behind. But typically these Diana decks don't have the cards that we care about. They typically don't have things like Targon Shields and Blessing of Targons. They tend to have Pale Cascades. And Pale Cascade doesn't survive through that, and then Piltover doesn't have combat tricks. So with this, do we ever... I don't think we ever want to just get Basilisk Rider down. We have to get some kind of big value out of this Reckless Trifarian. And our way to pull that off is with Kato.
I give you muscle.
You know, if we just have our Trifarian come in front of this Dustbringer, that's just so bad for us. But this is huge now, right? Getting in a 7 chunk out of this definitely got some value out of our boy there.
Genius in action.
Now we see ourselves getting into this spot to where we can, you know, play Basilisk Rider next turn, bank up a couple spell mana, play Captain Farron, and hopefully close.
Another brilliant design.
Yep. I think we're okay though. Like the aggression that he has that we care about is pretty slow. Unless he hits elusive here. If he hits elusive with this, that's very bad for us, but overwhelm. Okay.
We ride for Noxus.
Whatever the cost.
Okay.
Another brilliant design. You know, I'll end.
Look at that. Look at that premium Captain Farron. Nice. So here, I think we want to boost our Blade Squire. He feels like if we want him to be putting like stats in front of our units, we would rather him be trying to kill off our Blade Squire to get the Reforge as opposed to a House Spider. But hopefully this is enough. Trying to think of ways, in an ideal world, since he does have this lifesteal unit, we would be hitting with Basilisk Rider, Captain Farron over on the left. But we're a little short on our overwhelms to make that like a ultra important kind of play.
Genius in action.
Okay.
Energy core upgraded. Punch it! Ha-ha! Ride for Noxus! Up top!
Now, for much this is taking to neg 9. He'd be at 1, but we have the weapon hilt. Oh, his thing hit lifesteal? Shit, must be nice. I'm okay with this combat since we have the 2 decimates in our hand.
Must we fight?
I mean, we'll have to see what he does, but we're also lethal with both decimates next turn. Okay, we're not lethal. We're nowhere near lethal anymore.
Fear not death.
This all feels reasonable to me. Like, if we can end this combat with his Victor being gone, like this is fine. No reason to play a weapon hilt.
Sisters. These jewels are more than mere trinkets.
Can't imagine that is the follow-up he was hoping for.
The future is steel and science. Yes, of course.
Okay, can't imagine. There's just like no keywords that matter here. We're just gonna add our Iron Ballista. We're gonna play a Decimate. We're gonna open attack next turn, and this one's gonna be done. There's no way you can win this game. Alright, do we have some kind of clever way to put 11 damage on the left to get LeBlanc to flip and then put the mirror image in our hand? I think we can. We can +2 attack our Iron Ballista, attack with our 2 Overwhelms on the left, and then that should get us a LeBlanc flip card. Mirror image is Captain Fair and get some more Decimates, because that's what we need to win this one.
Run him down!
Okay.
Protector, shield me.
Clumsy design.
Okay, that's lethal, right? Yep. Cool. Alright, good game, friend.
Black rose,
Oh,
bloom
need some animations
once
first.
more.
Nice.
Protector.
And the mirror image. So cool, cool. Let's get ready. Get ready for this final battle. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, okay. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to picking up Shunpo, but not at the cost of a 1-drop. But here, I mean, I think we do want to go ahead and just snatch up the Draven's biggest fan, just to kind of, you know, try and pick up our 1 copy of him. Ooh, this is a real one. I think the Bascos Rider is probably just better than Decimate. I think that's a very strong pickup. Crowd favorite for Kato the Arm feels very good. We do have kind of issues. We haven't had like too many issues going wide, but he feels a little bit stronger here. With this, I don't think we need Nox and Guillotine. Our opponent's units tend to just be dead and not something that we need to clean up, so I think we can skip over this trade. Don't want Wrathful Riders. Don't want to trade away Basilisk Riders or Ballistas. That's an easy set of skips. And the last one, Demolitionist for Glory Seeker is an upgrade. Don't want more Reckoners. Don't want Apprehends, and so it feels like a pretty easy trade. Cool. All right. All right. Let's get there. Let's get ready for it. Oop. All right. Let's see if that Porobot comes up. The dreaded Porobot. Have lost to it. Don't feel bad if you lose to Porobot. that's the thing. If the timer gets to like 2 minutes, it gets tired of waiting on matchmaking. So like you play against the AI, it is pretty reasonable. Their decks are always very strong. So let's see. I'll probably cancel out of this if it starts getting up in the 90-second world. There we go. Nope, maybe doing stuff. Gosh, there we go. Okay, Ashe Teemo in the final battle. Interesting. Wonder if this is just like a base Ashe deck that happens to have like 1 or 2 like Mystic Shots or something in it. But I think I'm okay to trade out House Spider. I just look for some kind of like interaction or something that fills in a piece of the curve we don't have. Oh, he was ready for battle. The House Spider wanted to be here. Awkward. I guess we're kind of glad he showed back up so that we could get the better set of stats on the board. Ooh. The quick attack one? No.
Sharpen the blade, secure the kill.
Gotcha. You got it. Man, the house spider. The house spider was just like, play me, do whatever it takes to get me onto board. And, we just didn't appreciate and approve of it. But here, let's get Draven on top. Let's get the hopeful going. The thing that feels like it would be the worst for me here is if you know, we play the ballista and just attack into a 3/3 and only trade for a point of damage. So this is an advantage. Oh, and he just takes it. Can't say I expected that. This overwhelmed thing, you know, also pretty relevant with the hopeful.
Safety mode. Didn't build one.
Okay. Also, more than happy to put Draven's biggest fan in front of the Poro and then spinning axe it down. Don't want to deal with this thing, but
Yeah, okay.
Now we're cooking.
and if this gets Mystic Shot, you know, fantastic. If it gets hit with the Brittle Steel, not the end of the world. Okay. Very good. You know, ideally, with these spots we're kind of running into here, you know, it's tough for them to bring down Kato unless he has a big unit. If he plays like an Ashe or something here, then she can trade with Kato. But all of the combat tricks that Freylord has, minus things like Fury of the North and Battle Fury, only help you not lose a combat, don't help you win it. So if he has like the Troll Chant for Kato, or if he has an Elixir of Iron for Kato or something, then you know, he's at least not dying and giving this big overwhelm boost on a future turn. This is good. I mean, my intent here is to Kato boost the Trifarian Hopeful, attack with Draven on his own. See what happens here. We're more than happy to trade any of this for like a Brittle Steel or whatever he has plans for here. Gonna die, aren't you, Draven? This is ultimately fine, right? If he's gonna take this like massive chunk of damage, and then, right, you know, this isn't a spot to be playing for value. Roll Chant, absolutely.
Hold still. It's a cannon. Not
Seems
a
like we've
shield.
got him in quite the pickle. But see, like my thing with things like Troll Chant here, if he wants to say follow up with a, you know, Mystic Shot or get excited, he's not adding anything to the board, which is what he really needs at this point. Okay, cool. Very good. So, I mean, this House Spider crowd favorite are looking pretty good. Fantastic open the following turn as well. The Death's Hand onto the Poro. We're just going to have to do that now. That's okay. We can switch this around a little bit. Interesting that he chose to go after the Trifarian Hopeful in place of
Faster
Kato.
than my arrow? I think not. Swiftly now.
Okay. All right, let's get our big boys on board. This is Basilisk Rider ever just more stats, so I guess we're playing House Spider either way. But this is going to be a +4, so he's going to have a 6 attack. Okay, so we still want to play the crowd favorite.
I salute you.
Well, thank you, Bones.
Punch it. Ha-ha!
Punch it.
It's like balls.
All right, this has to be good. He can have one flash freeze. It would be annoying, but should be extremely tough for him to deal with.
Hold still.
No backing down.
Might have it. Got that Ash, bringing the flash freeze on our crowd favorite. Does have it.
The time is right. Strike now. These are our lands.
So do we ever give up on our Basilisk Rider here? Right? I think we have to do this. We have to take down his Plaza Guardian. Alright, well I'm not real sure who has the advantage at this point. Taking him to 3 is a pretty big deal again with these Noxian Fervors. I have to imagine our late game is better than his. The frightening thing is if he gets a Crystal Arrow and completely shut down an attack.
As the arrow flies.
Okay. Kato's kind of a big deal. Okay, so the harsh winds will get him out of this, but it requires a trade out of Ash. I think we're good. I think we're okay.
Lead the target.
Uh-oh, he's doing stuff. Brittle Steel, okay. That'll do it.
Avarosa, guide me.
Get in with that Spiderling. You gotta spread that damage out, son. you can't just be giving your Iron Ballistas boosts and having all your stats taken away with Brittle Steels. Alright, we got an emote. There we go. Good game. Nice little 7 winner. So cool. Yeah, that came together, pretty much as expected. I'm really happy with how we approached that draft. So let's get the recap up here and talk about it a little more. And so, yeah, like I think ideally, one of the best pairings with LeBlanc is just going to be another Noxus champion, right? This is such a deck that's so good at just being like super aggressive. But I think like the big thing with LeBlanc, and if you do manage to find this Noxus pairing, to a lesser degree, if you find the Shurima pairing, which you're guaranteed to get, but if you're paired up with Shurima, you're just looking to take like exhausts and 1-drops. But like with this specific style of deck, where LeBlanc plus a Noxus champion, or even if you just have another champion that we're trying to ignore that faction and just be a mono Noxus deck. I think the important thing is to realize, where each of the champions are good. And so, when it comes to LeBlanc, she has the very good 2-drops, the very good 3-drops, and then she has some kind of interaction. But, that's your starting point and where you need to be filling in, right? She has the, in her card pool, she has the Glory Seeker, she has the Hopeful herself, and then, we're not calling Reckless Trifarian like super good, but like Reckless Trifarian, Thorn of the Rose, she has a big pile of 3-drops, and so 2s and 3s where she's good. I think she has some of the Overwhelm top end. Let me pull that up and just double check. So I'm not spouting off nonsense. But no, right? She has where are we at? Reckless Trifarian. We nailed the 2s. She has Reckless Trifarian, Thorn of the Rose herself at our 3s. The expensive ones were where I wanted to check. I couldn't remember if she had Savage Reckoners in here. But no, the Armored Tusk Rider kind of lives here. But nonetheless, she has the good top end as well, we should say. She has Armored Elephant, Strength in Numbers. And so, the kind of spots that we're looking to fill in are, kind of the bottom side of the curve, depending on which champions you pick, or more so the top side of the curve. We're not realistically going to get a whole bunch of Strength in Numbers and Armored Elephants. But kind of like where this point is going is, if we take a peek at this with the Darius is very good into the mid game, and he has the removal spells. So like, what weakness did we have? Our weakness was the 1-drops, and so that's why we really kind of tiered off. Looking for the 1-drops first, then looking for the Overwhelm closers second, looking for the removal spells third, and then just quality cards in the fourth. But if you say, get paired up with, that scrap heap Draven that we looked at, or if you get paired up with a either of the Rivens. Anything that has, all of the reforged units in it in the early game, then, that kind of flips on itself. You don't want to tier off exactly like that. In those kind of stages, you are going to be looking, for some of this kind of premium top end, going to be looking for ways to close out the game. And then you're just going to kind of assume that your, one drops will fall to you a little bit more. I still think they're pretty important to pick up, and they probably just kind of like fall to tier 2 instead of tier 1. But I think that's one of the real keys here is, just not assuming that, hey, I'm in, LeBlanc Darius. This should be exactly the same as being in LeBlanc Draven or LeBlanc Riven. I think you need to, pull up the Expedition Helper and take a moment and really, kind of analyze where things are good and allow that to kind of like dictate what you're looking at as being the top tier of what to take. And so I haven't touched on that too frequently. It hasn't come up a lot recently where, I get asked questions in the old comments section and people would say like, what is good to pair with Freylord? And I don't think, that's a valid question. I think, what Freylord champion are you? Because, you're not looking to pair the same things up with Anivia than you are with, say, Ashe or Sejuani, whoever. Some of the champions like the same things, some of them do not. And so I don't like making those blanket statements of, what should I pair with Freylord, or, we should pair Shurima with LeBlanc. Doesn't always play out quite that way. And so I think that is the important thing here. And the big takeaway is, identifying, where your champions are good, what you need to fill in, and, what cards should kind of hopefully fall to you, and where can you, go out of your way to reach to pick up some other cards. And so I thought we handled that pretty well. Again, LeBlanc pretty good at the 2s and 3s. She has a removal spell and Bloody Business. She has access to some top end, but not like the real good stuff. And then over here with Darius, he has the very good mid game. He has access to the very good late game, has access to all the good removal spells. He just doesn't have any early game. And so that's how we kind of tiered this one off. We went out of our way to find these ones and ended up with ultimately a pretty powerful deck. And so good stuff. I'm happy with how this one panned out. It wasn't all carried on the back of Kato the Arm. I thought we did a lot of interesting things here, and I thought this was actually, quite different from our previous LeBlanc trial where she was paired up with Shurima. We did again have like a very aggressive deck. It was focused on the 1-drops and including the Bloodthirsty Marauder, but it had a lot more like vulnerable themes to it. We were playing much more of a board control style as opposed to just smash the face with overwhelm style. That was pretty interesting how these two decks turned out pretty differently. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. I think we have a couple of rewards to click on here. Champion Wildcard. Good stuff. Free. I guess it's not free, but free things are always good. What else we got in here? Prismatic things. I looked on here before if there was like a board. Oh, I remember doing this before too. This blew my mind that this was how this worked. This is like a progress bar, but I kept thinking it was like a scroll bar, and so I'd try to like scroll it like you do on the internet, but that's not how this thing actually works. My life can be tough sometimes, guys. My life can be tough. What is this? Prismatic rewards, concurrent cow lines, champion cards and stuff. All right, interesting. So let's see. We got another loot box in here. Oh, we got to see our epic Captain Farron. He came down one game. Oh, snap. We hit a champion? Interesting. Oh, man, this is a real tough one. I would have to imagine that the crowd favorite is probably Teemo. From a strength standpoint, it's Lee Sin. And I'm going to stay away from the Twisted Fate. Like, I haven't been playing Constructed. I still think he's, balanced and very good in Expedition, but he's been catching a whole lot of hate on the Constructed subreddits. And so I don't know if Twisted Fate has like an incoming nerf or what, but there's been a whole lot of bitching about Twisted Fate here recently. So I'm gonna stay away from this in the event that he catches the constructed nerf that makes him pretty bad in Expedition. I don't know. I get where like a lot of the argument comes in. It's very tough to balance a card like Twisted Fate. I think the way that you would end up having to balance Twisted Fate is to push up, on the number of card drawn. But this is kind of one of these things. If you think of like Stoneforge Mystic and Magic, do you ban the equipment or do you ban the Stoneforge Mystic? And kind of the thing with the Stoneforge Mystic is there's always going to be some kind of good equipment in the future. You can't design years and years and years of equipment to be like, man, this is going to suck with Stoneforge Mystic. You just ace the Mystic. And so I have to imagine that this theme within Bilgewater forever is just going to be like cheaply draw a whole bunch of cards, and so you know, you're never going to be nerfing the card draw. You're going to make more cards like Pool Shark and Fortune Croaker in the future, and so they're probably just going to, you know, nerf his card draw if anything happens. I don't know. I don't play very much constructed, but I think I'm going to go with the crowd favorite here and level up this Teemo. It's gonna be real sweet the next time we draft him. I'll have to remember that next time we see him pop up as a champion, so we can kind of show that off. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all, you know, learned how to craft the Noxian Might a little bit stronger, a little bit better. Learned how to overwhelm with the best of them. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.